So in this video I'm going to break down my reasoning for who would be my two central midfield signings for Manchester United next summer, and then I'll do a follow-up video analysing my two choices and how they would fit into the team in greater tactical detail. So give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you are interested in that. But let's start off with what Manchester United are going to need. So Casemiro is going to leave on a free at the end of the season, which will get his £18 million a season salary off of the books, which is likely double the signing of even someone like Baleba. If we were to sell Ugarte for £35 million, which I think we probably should be looking to do, we'd bank around £10 million in PSR profit. From here, if Amorim is still there, I think you're going to have to sell Mainoo, because whilst it would be logical to sell Bruno to Saudi, assuming they come back in with an offer of around £80 million, I think Bruno fits Amorim's system a lot better, either in the double pivot or playing a more playmaking role in the front three. And to be honest, I just can't see Mainoo sticking around for another season if Amorim is still here, considering that it did look like he was on the brink of leaving at the end of the summer. And alongside that, if Mount stays fit and has a good season, which is still a big if, I think you have to take that as an opportunity to cash in on him simply because of his injury record and salary, as well as the fact that he's only going to have 2 years left on his contract, and we can't extend his contract further, definitely not on that wage. And so in the situation that Amorim was to stay, I think you'd probably have to keep Bruno Fernandes. However, I'll go into that in more detail in the future video, but what about the potential central midfield replacements? Well, before I get into that, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to okjersey.com. They've got the new Manchester United releases for the upcoming season, with OK Jersey also allowing you to pick up high quality football shirts from just £15, plus free shipping across Europe for all orders over £45. They sent me over these new release alternative Manchester United jerseys from this season, as well as a long sleeved retro home shirt from the 92-93 season, with Cantona 7 on the back, alongside this Nuno Gomez Benfica shirt from the 97-98 season as well. If you use code ALANTIS at checkout, you'll get a discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comments section below. So if Ugarte and Mainoo are bringing in probably around £100 million combined, on top of Casemiro's salary savings, this would mean that United have the budget to bring in two of Wharton and Baleba, Ederson or Ederson amongst others. Now obviously Wharton and Baleba would probably be the dream duo from a long-term point of view, due to their age profiles potential, and their skill sets providing perfect balance in the midfield double pivot. But realistically, considering they'd cost combined £180 to £200 million, if not more, you probably have to go for one or the other and partner them alongside a cheaper option. And for me, Ederson would be the player that I go out and get straight away. And not necessarily because I prefer him over Baleba and Wharton, even though I do think he's on the same level, at least in terms of current ability, but because his contract at Atalanta expires in 2027, meaning that come next summer, he's only going to have 1 year left on his contract. And so whilst this summer Atalanta were demanding around £55 to £65 million, that's likely going to fall to maybe £30 to £35 million, depending on the interest from other clubs, simply because of the risk of losing him on a free. And with him still being only 27 years old, when next summer rolls around, I think he's going to be one of the best value deals on the market, particularly when someone like Ederson is surely going to cost at least £60 million. But even if Ederson were to cost around the same amount, I still think I prefer him to Anderson. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I rate Ederson so highly in just a minute. But first, out of Baleba and Wharton, who would I go with? Well, unless Baleba is going to cost over £110 million, which I think has to be the cut of £115 million maximum, assuming Wharton were to cost around £80 to £90 million, which I do think is realistic, I think I would still go with Baleba. And the reason for this is that I just think Baleba's skill set and the attributes that he specialises in are so unique that you can't really find another player on the market who could replicate it. But what is it about his skill set, and what are those specific attributes that he specialises in? Well, in possession is his press resistance in the build-up phase alongside his powerful ball-carrying ability through the centre of the pitch, combined with his defensive attributes such as his truly world-class ball-winning ability, stemming from his speed across the ground and his unique blend of physicality, anticipation and tackling technique, which makes him a game-changing weapon both in and out of possession. Now, Wharton certainly is the better progressive passer, having the sort of vision, disguised passing technique, and subtlety in his link play that is reminiscent of registas like Busquets and Xabi Alonso in style. However, as of yet, he's obviously not at that level, as whilst he's consistently a high-volume progressive passer, and arguably one of the best central midfielders in the world, regardless of age when it comes to threading passes between the lines and connecting play efficiently, he still doesn't have the consistency in his ball retention for me to consider him over Baleba, which you can see from his pass completion rates, as at the moment he's a high-risk, high-reward passer, which is still valuable, don't get me wrong, but I think he's probably another 2 to 4 years away from reaching that top-shelf elite level, where I think someone like Rodri has been at for the last few seasons, barring his injury of course. However, with Baleba, I think he's closer to that level, as his game is less dependent on his football IQ and decision making, and more around his physicality and athletic dominance, and so I can see him reaching that level within the next 1, 2, maybe 3 years, slightly earlier than Wharton. But also for me, Baleba's ball carrying ability does give him a significant edge, and that's because I think the tactical meta of the game is moving more towards a dependence on transitional play, and Baleba's ability to dominate the centre of the pitch, winning loose balls and breaking up attacks from situations that we would only see someone like Kante do in recent years is in my opinion more valuable and harder to find an alternative for, compared with Wharton's incisive passing ability through the lines. And so that would be my logic for going with Baleba, even if he was to cost maybe £25 to £30 million more. But to be fair, Wharton alongside Ederson is just as good a stylistic fit as Baleba and Ederson, and you could actually argue it's more balanced in some ways, due to Wharton being a progressive passer, and Ederson having a similar sort of ability to cover ground, as well as being a powerful ball carrier like Baleba. However, if you have Bruno Fernandes, you do have that creative passing from deeper areas. And I don't think that Wharton is currently at the level where he can consistently dominate big games by dictating the tempo from deeper positions. But alternatively, without Baleba, even with Ederson, I don't think you can fully replicate what he offers. But the reason that I'm so adamant about Ederson is similar to my reasons for Baleba. It's his ability in the transition both in and out of possession, via his physicality and speed across the ground. He's absolutely perfect for the rest defence, just like Baleba, with both central midfielders being capable of defending in 1v1s in space, either centrally or when having to shuttle out wide and cover for the advanced wing-backs or full-backs in the channels. And we've also seen both Baleba and Ederson operate effectively in the back line as well. Ederson, when dropping into the centre of the back three during an opposition counter-attack, has elite level positional awareness, being someone who I think could be converted to an out-and-out centre-back later on in his career, and whilst Baleba doesn't have the same positional awareness, being liable to maybe overcommitting or leaving too much space on his inside, allowing a run in behind. Like Ederson, he's absolutely rapid on the recovery, and with Ederson and Baleba in a midfield double pivot, either in Amorim's 3-2-5 possession shape, or more of a 2-4-4 or a 3-1-6, these two would allow for greater positional rotations, providing the defensive security for a wide or central centre-back in a back three, or the full-backs in a back four to make vertical third-man runs from deep, and join the attack as three men, running ahead of the opposition's midfield line, which I think is an optimal method of breaking down compact defensive shapes, creating overloads in wider areas, where either fullbacks or wide centre-backs such as Shaw, Yora, Mazraoui or Dorgu can make underlapping runs through the interior channels ahead of the likes of Ahmad and Bumo or Cunha on the flanks in order to break in behind the back line into crossing positions. So in a follow-up video, I'll tactically break down how a midfield double pivot of Ederson and Baleba would operate either in Amorim's 3-4-3, as well as in other systems as well, alongside how they would work with Bruno Fernandes. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, who you would prefer, and if you do want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to okjersey.com. You can use code Alantas at checkout for a discount. I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below, and if you do want to sign up to my Patreon, I'll leave it linked on the end screen now as well.